WTF-DFW. Where's the fun DFW? So we've had a couple of interesting weeks of conversation. It's been pretty cool hearing from people out there, and I know, there's been frustration on our parts as, the clubs and venues representing that side. And at the same time, I've heard from a number of people who don't agree with me, but most of those people were in bands.
Yeah.
The majority of people that have been in bands have agreed with me. So it's interesting. I love the fact that, we're having a conversation again, what people seemingly understand and appreciate. Every time I talk to someone, I listen every week, I look forward to it, but it's an awesome hearing the perspective of a venue because they don't think about it. And there are actually some people who now work for venues that, I'm giving them a different perspective than from the outside. So, I do this because, A, I want to hear, the thoughts and opinions of people that are on the other side of the aisle, now that we're in the, the debates and the,
the blue
the
side, the red
conventions,
side,
whatever,
yeah.
I'm extending my hand across the aisle. So, if you got a different mindset or whatever, feel free to comment, reply. You don't have to do so anonymously. I don't think you're going to be blacklisted, but the people that do comment and have commented anonymously, cool, they seemingly support it. So, again, it's just about talking about how we're getting through the, June, July has been a struggle. The economy's been, shit this year, so we still have to do everything we can to get as many asses in the door and people spending money in the venues and all. So
the people that are disagreeing with this viewpoint, do they have a counterpoint?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's just they're mad that I'm saying it, and that's unfair. Nobody's given me a legitimate reason why they don't agree, other than it's just not fair.
Well, taxes aren't fair either.
Oh yeah,
Gas prices aren't fair. Come on, everything's not fair. You got to do what you got to do.
It is what it is. But when people understand why, venues might not be booking them anymore, you're building your own, graves there per se. So that was last week's conversation. We also had what happened last week. We had live band karaoke with Shannon. Barefoot Nation was on Thursday, the Kenny Chesney tribute. Absolutely loved them. I didn't get out to Fats at all this week. We were. It's weird.
On Monday.
For One Drink Monday. Oh yeah, but that doesn't count. But we had Barefoot Nation on Thursday, Def Legend and a band named Goo on Friday. And apparently that was a great night. My staff loved it. It had a great crowd. And then on Saturday, we had Pride in the Name of U2 opening up for Rebel Yell. So Chi and them and Rebel Yell, and I think his name is Jeff with Pride in the Name of U2. They're a super talented group as well. So
my name is Jeff.
What's that?
My name is Jeff.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I'm talking about that little meme or whatever.
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll show you later.
I don't know what you're talking about. Not a word. So that was last week. This week, it's an interesting conversation. Somebody posted about it the other day saying, hey, what are your thoughts on, bands using tracks? And, the first thing that came to mind is all the controversy around Motley Crue. We're finding out Nikki Sixx isn't even playing his his bass live.
Really? When did that stop?
Well, apparently he's been using tracks to play.
Really?
And he didn't actually record his bass. It's been reported on some of the albums. It all came out because after, Mick Mars was no longer in the band, a guitarist, it started some controversy with the band itself. And then Mick Mars was like, hold on, I'll send you recordings of my track so you can actually hear what's going on in my ear. And it's just basically a click track. And he's playing everything by himself, so anybody could say anything. That started it all. And then it's getting crazy. I could appreciate this just because of who it is and the history, but there's a lot about it that disturbs me. But Randy Travis just came out with a new song, and Randy Travis can't even, say his name anymore.
Yeah.
I forgot what disease he has, but I don't know if it's Parkinson's or a neurological issue, but he just released a new song that was entirely generated through AI. And,
That's crazy.
I have an issue with that. Is it right to actually have him earn money off of a song if he didn't do anything? They actually created it by mirroring his voice using technology.
Yeah, so he can go on forever. Everybody.
Yeah,
AI is
absolutely.
going to allow everybody to go on forever.
Right. And at what point, I get it, it's using the name and all of that, but, now people are going to charge money. Who's getting the revenue from that? Sounds like the computer engineer, is the one that deserves the money from that. And
Yeah,
but
it should
it's
be in the likeness of Randy or something.
right. Yeah, 100% right.
Yeah.
Randy Travis makeover or something like that. But, my thoughts are, well, I don't know. This is frustrating me because, I keep talking about when I was your age, growing up playing music, there was no such thing as playing along the tracks. If there was a keyboard part in a song and you didn't have a keyboardist, guess what? There was no keyboard part in a song.
In the live version, yeah.
And when we're out, playing at shows and all of that, then you may do without it. You also look at how many bands were out there would add a keyboardist, and certain songs don't even require a keyboard, so they would just kind of stand in the corner until their part was needed. But now it's like people are using tracks, and I get it. Like if you're in a band out there playing now, and you're playing a song like Jump, right? And that's the example I use. So from Van Halen, it's got that little the keyboard part in the beginning. If you don't have a keyboardist and you want to be able to use a track to start the song with that, I don't mind that. It's you're using it in a small for a hot second, for a minute, just to do that. I'm good with it, but I've actually, no, I'll hold off on that for a second, but if you're replacing something like a guitar solo or adding a rhythm guitarist to it, or adding in, filling in a hole that you need a musician, or your musician, if you aren't talented enough to do it, or adding drum fills by using a track, you're basically lying and deceiving your audience that's out there. And some people can see that, and I said, what about, bands today? I'm curious how many of them are using tracks, and if you got rid of the tracks, whether or not they'd even be good. Or would people be like, oh my God, what's going on with them?
Well, that's what happened with Millie Vanilli. I mean, that was a big surprise to everybody. It was, it was a big black one.
Guy killed himself, as a result of that, ostracized, but now everybody seemingly does it.
Yeah.
And some are doing it pretend. You heard that chick the other day with the national anthem.
Yeah, she was drunk.
She claimed she was drunk, but I guarantee she's like, I didn't have any, auto-tune on my vocals, and she probably, her producer and all, she's a Grammy Award
that's
nominee. Get the hell out of here.
Now
She can't cover, and I know it's like an octave and a half, I think, or, gets covered in that song. And it is a difficult song to sing, but nah, I don't buy the whole I was drunk thing, so I was off tune, and out of key and all of that. I just don't believe it. But I've actually seen bands playing at Fat Daddy's, and again, I am nowhere near calling myself an expert at all, but I've actually watched musicians up on stage pretending to be playing parts of a song or playing an instrument, and I have zero respect for that.
And you can see it like going back in the past in the 80s and stuff when it's really first started coming out because of music or whatever. And then on Saturday Night Live, I forget who it was, but the track started to skip, and she was embarrassed and she kind of skipped off stage. So it does happen, but I was always confused when it happened because they're jumping around and dancing around so insanely, and you're like, how are they on tune and you don't hear this?
Well, it's fun, like
breathing.
I get it if you're recording. With MTV years ago, they weren't playing the song; they were pretending to be playing the song in the videos. Exactly. Like I was listening to Rat today, and at guitar lessons we were learning parts of the song. But that's what made me think of it. Also, you see, like Warren DeMartini he flies through the floor and his fingers are doing something that has nothing to do with the guitar solo at that particular time. But I get it. But to be pretending you're playing an instrument up on the stage is embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I would be mortified because if that track cuts out, and again,
Exactly.
it happens, and as a band member, I'm sure you're going to be mortified when it happens. Liar Liar was playing 2 weeks ago, I think, opening up for Dustin's guys in Rise Against the Machine and Empires. They opened up for that, and I told you, the guitar player, her amp cut off.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
You know, she was like, trying to figure out how to get it going. But had they have been relying on tracks or anything, that would have been vastly different. It could have been really embarrassing if a track stumbles and skips or any of that stuff, and you're pretending to be a musician that's up there. And there are some pretty notorious bands that people would be floored if you actually watch, and I'm not going to call them out because, you know, it's not my place to, but there are some pretty highly paid bands that are out there that don't really play the music, that they rely so heavily on tracks, and they'll fill in occasionally on some guitar or on some, you know, bass, or, you know, even on drums. I've seen it. Now, I get it, if you're doing like live band karaoke, you can't know every song, so you're relying on, you know, tracks and stuff to get you there. I get that, because that's not
That's different.
real performance, you know. I'm talking about these people that are in bands, and they're just relying on a track, and they're up there pretending they're playing a guitar, because they're dancing around and doing all of this stuff.
Exactly.
It's just, to me, it's asinine. I've heard national acts come in, and I've heard national acts go through sound checks, and I'm like, oh, so they're not going to sing that part? Like, I'm
really?
like, oh. But then I realize, all right, it's like a backing vocal, and yeah, obviously, you know, a band from the 80s, you can't sing like you did in the 80s anymore in, you know, 2024. So I get it if they have to fill it in a little bit, but they're not, even the national acts are not faking the performance. So
that's what it is. I mean, because you go out to see a live act, you want to see them because you like the music, you like the song, but then it sounds exactly like the record. Bullshit.
Right. It's like, you know,
you want to see them live.
And I want to see the mistakes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
again, I think I mentioned it last week. I want to see the screw-ups. And no, actually, I posted that on somebody's comment. I actually think it was Rick Harris. And I said years ago, that's what I love most, when I went to go see Guns N' Roses at the Ritz, and it was so screwed up. You know, things got so bad during that performance, but I remember it because they got through it. It wasn't a great performance, but it was a badass performance.
But sometimes it is.
You know,
I mean,
like,
sometimes the live is better than the produced one.
I agree.
Yeah.
So that's just my thoughts. I'm curious what you think, how you feel about tracks. I know I've seen people comment on a Rick. You know, you could be one way or the other. You know, again, I'm assuming if you're for the use of tracks, you're for the use of tracks as like a filler, maybe, you know, to provide a keyboard part occasionally. But how do you feel about these bands that are using it to provide a rhythm guitar player?
Yeah.
Or, you know, vocal tracks? And
I don't know if you heard Lee Greenwood on the RNC.
yeah.
I mean, I was like, I don't know. I mean, maybe he needs a track. I mean, but he's old, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. But there is something about watching a performance and not being perfect. And
Exactly.
I think it's, and you know what? And this just, I went to go see, you know, a buddy's band a couple of weeks ago as well. And, you know, he was like, oh, I screwed up that part. And I'm like, you don't have to tell people you did.
Yeah.
You know, most people won't even realize that they're watching with their eyes. And we actually had this conversation, you know, with a bunch of friends over the weekend. People are watching with their eyes. They're not basically, you know, I mean, only, I'm not going to say only, but typically a musician will notice a screw up in a song. Or like, they're playing it a little differently. You know, I notice that a lot if, you know, that a band might be doing something a little bit differently. But your general audience that's there, they're just here to have a good time.
Yeah,
you know,
they're
they don't
drinking,
care if you're
talking.
perfect or
Yeah.
near perfect. And you know what? To me, you're more likable by an audience if you do have mistakes. And you show that, you know, whoops,
I agree, yeah.
it happens, you know, so.
And sometimes it's like a slower version, which is cool, and you'll only see it when it's live, you
Yep.
know? So, but you have to be able to play, and that really separates the good bands from the boy bands or whatever.
Absolutely.
I mean, Either you play or you don't. And
So if you're in a band, just don't be afraid to screw up.
Yeah.
You know, like just don't be afraid. You're not fooling anybody. If you do, cool. We appreciate you more. If you forget a word, you know, like it just happens, you know, like nobody's perfect out there, and we want to see the mistakes, and people would appreciate seeing the mistakes. And I guarantee you, if they found out you were faking it, your credibility would be gone, and you likely wouldn't be booked at too many venues moving forward or drawing the fans that you typically do. So keep that in mind as you're, you know, producing this music out there, and you know, what the audience, you know, like the audience is listening. It's a Steve Vai song. So that's it. So let's see, what do we got going on this week? We have live band karaoke tonight with Shannon. I believe Guto is back from Brazil, so I'm not sure if he's going to be playing out there or just popping in. But I just heard from Shannon a little while ago that Guto is back, so hope you had a great trip. I'll see you soon, bud. The Force, the police tribute will be out at Fat Daddy's tomorrow on Thursday, and that's, you know, Terry Ransom, you know, another one of his bands. He's drummer for, you know, the Rush band, Incognito, the Inhaling band. He just, for everything you name it, he's super talented.
Police were great back then.
Yeah, I liked them. You know, I liked them enough. I can say I
know
liked them
there's
enough.
a handful of songs that I can remember, but I remember they were really good.
You know, I did dig them, though. But then Friday night we have Texas Whiskey and You playing with Emotions in Motion, the first time a Billy Squier tribute. That's Addison's band. I'm not sure if Addison's back and singing in it yet because he had some medical concerns, and I really hope he's getting better and better every day. But I am definitely going out to see Emotions in Motion. I have to see. I love Billy Squier.
Me too.
And I'm looking forward to, you know, even Bad Wig and all, you know. It kind of reminds me of, there's a guy who plays guitar for Incognito, and anybody listening is going to know this too. He plays for Incognito, plays for, I believe, Inhaling. It's one of Jeff Gilpin's guitar players. Incredibly talented, incredibly talented guitar player. We love watching him because he's just so seamless with what he does, but his hair reminds me of Billy Squier's back in the day, so he could be your next Billy Squier out there. Just informational for you. But go out and check this band out, and if you like them, you know, cool. You know, they'll be back again. But then Saturday we got a big show. Back in Black is playing with Unglued, so JC and the guys from Unglued. What the hell was that? It sounded like an explosion.
Yeah.
You know, Unglued, the tribute to Stone Temple Pilots. I know Amber loves, you know, that's favorite that JC does is the STP band. So that's going to be a badass night. So come on out, Back in Black with Unglued. So 3 great nights of music this week. Next week, again, we have live band karaoke with Shannon Cobb. Triple Lindy is playing on Thursday. Remember Triple Lindy? That was from Rodney Dangerfield movie. When he was,
really?
He did the Triple Lindy.
Oh, yeah.
But this is Billy Kidd, you know, the Texas radio icon.
Yeah.
So his band, Billy Kidd, is playing out there Thursday of next week. Iconic is playing out next Friday, that's no Crazy Town playing with him because of Shifty, you know, dying from the overdose. But and then next Saturday, we got Landon Farrar doing an acoustic set. My buddy's son is going to be doing, you know, 30 minutes of acoustic, opening up for Afterglow, which they'll be their first time playing at Fat Daddy's. And then Lance Battalion will be headlining that show. And that's 3 local artists all from the Mansfield area. The kids went to Mansfield from Lance Battalion. They came last time. People absolutely loved them. So come on out, support, you know, truly support local music. You know, and I think that's on the 27th. So that's Landon Farrar, Afterglow, and Lance Battalion on that day. What else? Industry on Wednesdays. So all day Wednesday at Fat Daddy's Industry. You have your secret menu, and that's also on Friday and Saturday nights between midnight and 2 a.m. at Fat Daddy's. We talked about October. Don't forget, be on the lookout. Enough's Enough is playing. And we also have Mike Tramp's White Lion. Contracts are all signed and executed on both of those shows. Those are happening in October, so I'm looking forward. October is going to be a fun month for us, along with our Halloween party and stuff like that. So,
man, October already?
Well, it's still only, July, but you think about it, it's 2.5 months away. Yeah. So fall will be upon us, shortly enough. But What else going on out there? Don't forget my buddy Dwayne Tyree of Platinum. He's still got Rockin' Taco out there going on. I know they do some acoustic on like Tuesdays, I think on the patio. But, all of his tacos, the menu looks fantastic. I just found out he's actually connected to a bar, he said. So there is a bar directly next door that you can bring drinks back and forth. They share a patio and stuff. So now that's how a ticket in. To get some tacos. Yeah. So that's no cool. Ticket, no taco. No margaritas or beer, no taco for me. So Dwayne will be out there soon. Don't forget Arnie Newman and my friends over there at Rockstars of Tomorrow Mansfield. They have lessons in retail in there. They have repairs, any of that stuff. So if you need guitar strings, if you need your amp fixed, if you need to buy an amp or pedals or guitars, whatever, drums, whatever you need in there, keyboards, go on and pop in. Go look for Arnie, say hello, and, support another local business out there. What else we got going on? Thompson's Bookstore. Don't forget, books, book your events out there. We have 4 floors, a speakeasy. We have the main bookstore level, cigar lounge, and an event center. I have a lot of people that constantly reach out to me for, information. Hey, we want to get out there. We want to see this. Do you guys have enough room for parties, blah, blah, blah. Call our management team up there and ask, but at least go and check us out. Yeah. If you like cigars, take a walk up there, go to the cigar lounge floor, chill out for a couple of minutes. You'll be amazed at that building. So
try not to be offended. I'm getting messages all the time like, what's the deal with the middle finger? Even from our door guy. I was like, okay, let me explain this to you.
Well, yeah, I can understand that. I can appreciate that a little bit, but just at any of our places, don't be offended. There's nothing to be offended about. It frustrates me offended. Marksman Firearms. For those, I'm sure some people are offended by firearms and all of that. But hey, Colleen has got our gun of the month. We have an Anderson AM lower for like $47 out there, so you can build an AR. And you got to start with the receiver. So come on out there and pick one up. $47. Wichita Falls Beretta APX 9mm pistol for $320. Granbury's got a CZ 457 17 HMR rifle. It's a 22 caliber rifle, I believe, for a little over $500. And then Mansfield's got a Taurus G2C 9mm for $240. Again, don't forget that
with the scope, right?
What's that?
With a scope. One of them has a scope, right?
No, that was one of the ones last month had the scope on it. But don't forget, ammo, the shortage is coming, and we're already starting to hear it from our customers that they're struggling to get some stuff. So don't wait too long. And, especially everything now that's going on with, in the government this week and the attempted assassination of Trump. We always see an uptick in purchases, but you also hear a lot of rhetoric about banning ARs, which ironically, you notice how there was no talk about banning an AR after the attempted assassination of Trump. Conspiracy theory, right?
I got my big...
but I'm not going to go into that, but it's ironic that,
there's a lot of
had it been an attempt at Biden, I think people would have been up in arms about, we got to get rid of ARs, but no. Now they're like, why isn't... that's what I'm going to say.
I know.
So that's it. Also, we had a big week last week with Capone's. I believe we got approval now to proceed. All of our building plans have been signed off on. The building permit has been filed, so construction is ready to go. Super, super close to construction beginning, so I'm stoked. I can't wait for this place to open. You're talking about a nice, relaxing, intimate, upscale sports bar. This isn't a Buffalo Wild Wings. This is going to be, dark leathers and all. A good place for us, our age, to be able to just chill out, watch sports, and, enjoy a nice environment. So be on the lookout for that at Capone's. The reach around. It'll finally come to fruition out there. So that's pretty much it. Everybody, again, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, share it, encourage other people to subscribe. Let's get the word out there. I want to keep these things going so that people get our take. We can get your take as musicians, as fans, whatever it is. I want to be able to encourage people to, listen, comment, But again, without all of you that are liking and commenting, providing feedback, you're the ones who help this thing go along. And without all of your support, including all my, friends out there at other venues, well, I don't care if it's Tees, I don't care if it's Maverick, Oscars, whatever it is, Revel, we're all in this thing together. So, as you heard, I'm talking about Dwayne's place up in North Richland Hills, Rockin' Tacos. I'm talking about Rockstars, Mansfield. I don't care what your venue's about, as long as you're, playing the game with all of us and,
Yeah.
You're respectful. We love you. We appreciate you out there. So, more importantly, get out there, support live music, support Ange Bar Retail, get to the gun stores, get to Thompson's, get out to Fat Daddy's. You'll likely see me out there at Fat Daddy's this week. I can't spend 2 weeks away. I feel like I've neglected, the people out there. So, with that said, have a great week. Enjoy yourself. Stay safe and peace.